he might be playing Gnomes versus Goblins, but instead I think that he didn't come out because our first player in semifinal number 2 is actually Firebat.
And his opponent over on my side is DTwo. Now, DTwo, you seem quite at home on this stage. You've got your sweatshirt on today, casual style. You roll in with your own water bottle. Are you feeling comfortable here in the Tavern of Champions?
Definitely getting used to it, but you know, every time up here it's like pretty stress-filled, pretty pressure-filled because I'm going against the best players in the world. So yeah, I'm getting comfortable, but at the same time, you have to like really focus every time you're up here.
Now, when you sit in that player booth, you have a great view of our audience, and these guys are psyched for your Hearthstone matches. Is that a lot of pressure on your shoulders?
That makes it easier actually, when just looking at the crowd and seeing they're like really amped up to watch you play. I mean, that makes you want to play more. It takes a lot of the pressure off because you know that. I mean, obviously, if you lots of people watching, there's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, you know they're cheering you on. You know they're looking for good matches, so it makes you really focus more and makes you play your best.
All right, crowd. Well, you heard DTwo. He feeds off your energy, so don't forget to give him some love when he's in his matches. And let's see if you give that opponent some love. How's Firebat over there, Marcus?
I think Firebat's looking ready. I have a question now, because there were a few people on Twitter that were asking, hey, does Firebat have any relation, or does he like Firebat Hero? Is there some correlation there? Because you did mention that you liked Brood War.
Yeah, it's my favorite Brood War player, so...
Well, yeah, we got a couple Firebat Hero. So, that person, I guarantee you, would have the same question I do. Firebat Hero is known for his celebrations. Would there, by chance, be any celebrations that you have prepared for us here at the Hearthstone World Championships?
I brought my swimsuit, but there wasn't a pool, so I don't know if it can happen.
I will see what I can do about getting an inflatable pool up here on stage. But you've got semifinal number 2. You seemed very confident yesterday. You had the 3-0 victory and then the 3-1 victory. And you even said that one of the things was you were taking your first 2 games pretty regularly. Plans to do that here today?
Yeah, I plan to just take it steady and play my best, and hopefully he plays his best and we put on a really good show for everybody.
Awesome. I think that's what everyone wants. Firebat, good luck. Go ahead, head to the booth. Ladies and gentlemen, semifinal number 2 is about to begin. And of course, we've got some casters to narrate us here at the Tavern of Champions. Gentlemen, hello, and are you ready for semifinal number 2?
As ready as we'll ever be. Thank you very much, Wheat and Rachel, and good luck to Firebat and DTwo. I'm joined on the desk by That's Admirable and Reels to bring you guys the second semifinal of the Hearthstone World Championships. Now, this one has a lot of stories going behind it because both these guys coming from the Americas region, and only one of them can go to the grand final.
Yeah, it's sort of unfortunate. Both of these guys, I think, were in my top 4 picks to actually take BlizzCon and win it all together. And I played with both these players and practiced with both of them, but my boy Firebat.
Your boy Firebat.
Yeah, I'm hoping he wins. I practice a lot with Firebat, and of course, we practice a lot with Backspace Namaz, sort of when he was kind of up and coming to the tournaments. So, I'm not saying that I have any favorites for this one, but I definitely have a favorite. For me,
no favorites, but I have a favorite. I don't blame you for having Firebat as a favorite. He's been crushing through the entire tournament, even going back to the qualification period. Both of these players are playing from the Americas region. Firebat was one of the top 2 seeds going into the Americas qualifier, and he made it all the way now to the semifinals of the World Championship, but he's up against a player who has had a pretty long road of his own, DTwo. This is going to be insane. I'm so glad that we're going to have an American in the finals. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, though.
What does it speak about the fact that the American region is here and Europe fell in the top 8? Does it say anything as 2 guys from the NA region?
Well, I don't want to say too much stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was Chuck Norris. He kind of discovered those lands like 1894, and first he called it Eastern USA, which eventually just got abbreviated to EU. So. I think it makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. You know, it's all of the other outcasts and exiles and stuff. It's sort of where
That was you in Twitch chat, right? That was you copy pasting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, seriously.
Just
no,
so we're clear, Admirable started. Okay.
I mean, there's a little bit of variance going on, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Kalento had a very tough opponent, and I think his matchups were
Right.
actually, you know, they were tough as well. Just the way the lineups kind of were. So this really could have been anyone's game, and that's sort of the nature of the way it's played out too. Is that eventually you're going to have some sort of clusters. So the fact that we had one Korean player and one Chinese player, and then we had two NA players. It's not like a big surprise to see that, like, you know, someone got shut out of it. And
Right.
I mean, there's no Taiwanese players either. So
I think you can make a debate that these are the top players in each of their regions, right? Tiddler Celestial in China, he's been doing so well in all these tournaments, even outside of the Hearthstone World Championships. Kranich, you talk to Doa, you talk to other Korean players, they agree that he's one of the best. And then Firebat's always been on top of the ladder, always dominant. He comes in as the #2 seed in this entire region. But then D2 is this interesting black sheep. He doesn't really play in many tournaments. He doesn't really have that outstanding records. In fact, he qualified through a weekly cup, and he didn't really place well outside of that. And yet, he's on a recent hot streak. He won a tournament right before coming to BlizzCon.
Yeah, he's getting hot at the right time, and that's usually a big deal in these types of big events. It's been a big boost for him to be able to come in here and be calm and be collected and play well, because in the past nerves have gotten to him, but we haven't seen that at all in the World Championships.
yeah, when you mention that too, it's not that D2 hasn't played a lot of tournaments. He's played a ton. He hasn't played a lot of the more major tournaments you've been seeing. A lot of broadcast ones with these larger prize pools, and they have, you know, super stacked fields that are coming into him. D2 was grinding his way through these open cups. That was sort of what prepped him for a format like this. And as Real said, nerves were always a really big problem for him. Like you saw at Stage 2 of BlizzCon. It was really tearing at him. You could tell that it was getting to him. But since he's calmed his nerves since then, he's showed up here. He's been cool, calm, and collected. I don't think I've seen any major mistakes from him since we've been here, and I think that's his key to victory.
Yep, all you have to do is just keep playing consistent as possible, and Firebat is about as consistent as it comes. As he's a player who loves being aggressive, and I get it because he also played college rugby. It makes a lot of sense now. That game, I played it one time, and I said, no, thank you. It's not for me. I'm just going to stick to my computer games. Thank you very much.
Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I do love that last little fact, of course, that story
His
of
parents thought BlizzCon was a scam, apparently.
yeah, trying to protect him. They want to fly you out to what? To do what? Play what game? And it is real. He is here. He is fantastic. And semifinals, man, dude. D2
it's
though.
definitely Reals.
D2 is going to be getting in his way.
D2 also has his own sports background. You know, he also coached and competed in tennis for several years, and he's pretty damn good from what I heard.
You know, I haven't seen his tennis at all, and I haven't really heard much about it. I'll tell you what I have heard about, though, is his Hearthstone play. I've checked out some of his articles.
Is he good?
he's all right. He
knows a
he's
thing
like
or
top
two.
4 of the World Championships or something like that. You know, potential to go to the finals, potential to win $100,000, something like that.
Yeah, no big deal,
his Hearthstone
right?
writing is pretty good, though. I've checked out some of his articles, and it ranges all the way from like very basic stuff to very deep, in-depth, high-level play. If you guys haven't checked it out, you definitely should.
Yeah, actually, if you're a new player, you're watching Hearthstone for the first time, a lot of these players contribute content to help new players get it accumulated to the metagame, right? Or acclimated, excuse me.
There you go.
Accumulate is not even the right word there. So D2, he's writing like guides. He's very accessible with his content, and it's cool that he's able to translate to the highest levels of play, as a lot of these players are also community members. They like just sharing their deck lists. I just remember like a month or so ago, Firebat was the one sharing Alex Strauss and Miracle Rogue, and then we saw it in tournament play.
Yep. And he is playing a rogue today. It doesn't have that Alex Straza in it.
No.
But, I mean, he does like to innovate. He does have a wide range of decks and cards that he likes to play and tinker around with and find what's working in a specific metagame.
And the rogue is available for the series. In fact, D2 has banned Druid from Firebat, and Firebat retaliated with a Hunter ban.
Very interesting ban for D2 against Firebat.
Yeah.
The most common bans we've seen, of course, have been the Warlock and the Hunter bans. We've seen some other things happen as well. We've seen even Paladin banned earlier in the World Championships. And
poor Uther.
Poor Uther.
Actually, Firebat's Rogue has been getting banned a lot from him, too. This tournament. We saw the version come out where he's playing South Sea Deckhand, a couple of Cold Blood's Faces manipulate. That's 20 points damage. And people, I think, when they saw it, they were not prepared for that kind of list of Miracle, because everyone sort of like a lot of Miracle players have gotten away from that and become more minion-centric, stuff like Violet Teachers, you know, a couple copies of Earth and Rain Farseer, trying to fortify their board and make a push from there. This is one of the first matches we've seen all tournament where his Rogue has not been banned, and I can understand the Druid ban, because Druid's going to be working really well against his Priest and against his Warrior, but I feel like that Rogue is going to do just as good against them, if not better.
Yeah, it also could be a comfort thing if D2 feels like he can play against these other classes a little bit better than against Druid, and sometimes he feels powerless against what Druid can do. Or maybe he has something specific to throw off Firebat. You don't know. In the end, it comes down to these two guys. Let's find out what happens. Game number 1 between Firebat and D2 is about to begin. We're going to kick things off with Priest versus Rogue.
Oh, geez. This is exactly what I was afraid of, too. Reels, you played a ton of Rogue in the past.
Absolutely.
We talked a lot about this matchup yesterday. What exactly does the Priest need to do to stay in this game and make sure they can put a win on the board?
Yeah, on paper, this is a matchup that tends to favor the Rogue player. But Priest can absolutely fight back, but you need a couple things to happen that you are looking for. You want to have good early pressure, and you want to follow it up with a way to clear the board out entirely, to sweep the board if the Rogue ever starts to get established. A lot of the time they have that Gadgetzan Auctioneer. You need to be able to get rid of it right away.
Oh, he definitely has that Gadgetzan Auctioneer here, too. He's got a couple spells to go with it. And a Blood Mage Apprentice. That Northshire Cleric has got... Wow. Did you see that clicking power? That was some fast some APM he's got going on there. Is he a StarCraft player?
Drank a lot of coffee this morning, let me tell you. Yeah, second Auctioneer. Is that relevant at all, or is he looking for other spells to combo the first one?
I think that second Auctioneer in this matchup can be relevant at times. And again, because what Reels is saying, if he finds Auchenai and then Circle of Healing, which becomes Circle of Dealing damage after that, that makes a big difference in the game. You have a second Auctioneer to follow that up. You draw a ton more cards. Really makes a big difference. D2, by the way, really critical play here. You need to heal your opponent and hit him with that Light Shall Burn You.
Really critical there. And the good news for D2 is he has found some of that early pressure that will help him exhaust some of the resources out of the Rogue before they want to be exhausting them.
What do you think of this Edwin here? Do you think he should be... Is this a good time to play it?
Well,
is the 4 power just that troublesome?
I mean, it is problematic for Priest to deal with a 4-attack minion. And, I mean, look, you can't easily deal with it unless you try to play a minion to answer of your own. And even then, it's not guaranteed that that minion can survive.
Right. It may prompt Injured Blademaster plus Circle of Healing in response in order to have the 4/7 against the 4/4 to try to compete with it as directly as possible. He doesn't have any other removal or anything like that in hand to be able to take care of it. So he's really thinking about it quite a bit, though. He also has the Dark Cultist, which is one of the cards that you would like to have in your hand early when playing against a Rogue. These are the cards that help you get that early pressure, but if he uses the Circle of Healing, he won't be able to kill a Gadgetzan Auctioneer that's stealth or anything like that.
What I like about the Van Cleef, it's also a way to fight back against the way you pressure the Miracle Rogue, right? You're saying that you're supposed to pressure this class as soon as you can, and Van Cleef does fight back against it. And even though this 4/7 is intimidating, there are ways for Firebat to deal with it.
Yeah, does that change anything here?
Well, I mean, he just kills it.
He doesn't have the... Well, he could have killed it before. He just had to use his Van Cleef.
Right.
Does he still have to use his Van Cleef here?
Oh, can you get away without using Van Cleef?
My question is, is the major difference just the fact that you have to use Circle of Healing here? Or the fact that... Because your Dark Cultist doesn't actually contest the Edwin Van Cleef. So I feel like you're going to have to play Injured Blademaster here this turn. The question is whether or not you use Circle of Healing.
Yeah, and he decided to do so. It probably is the better choice. As we see, if he had not used it, he would have been able to just use either Deadly Poison or Eviscerate to kill the Injured Blademaster. And now he's going to have to use the Deadly Poison and his Van Cleef to take it out, which is a little bit more of a bummer. But now the onus is still back on Priest to apply that pressure.
Yep.
Otherwise, Rogue will eventually build up.
It's still kind of 2 cards for 2 cards, though, if you look at it. I mean, there was Circle of Healing using Injured Blademaster, and then the Edwin Van Cleef, and of course, he still has a charge of that poison left. So I think a little bit extra value going to Firebat in that trade.
Yeah, he did lose his coin, though, so he can't use the coin with the Gadgetzan, but he does have Backstab and a couple other spells. But if he evokes it from the Miracle Rogue player with some of his other minions, then there might not be much spells to go with that Gadgetzan Auctioneer. And that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask, though, D2 kept onto this Northshire Cleric for a long time, and he did have the combination Circle Healing with the Injured Blademaster. Was he saving that Northshire Cleric because he thought he was going to keep Circle of Healing as well and wasn't going to plan on doing that combination?
You know, I think it's kind of tough to say, honestly. I agree with holding Northshire Cleric. It's got such a target on his forehead with something like Deadly Poison. But if you're not going to play early, when does he intend to use in this matchup? That's another question you have to think about. I think that the Edwin Van Cleef just prompted him to play Injured Blade Master a little bit earlier than he wanted to. So there's a possibility that this is just kind of stranded into his hand until he finds another opportunity to use it efficiently.
Yeah. Well, Northshire Cleric looking like the only minion that D2 is going to be playing this turn unless he happens to draw another one of those 3 drops.
Is someone injured?
With the power word shield.
Yeah.
So, and Sylvanas is drawn. Sylvanas is not bad.
Okay.
That is something that could play well for future turns. But this turn, now, all he has is that 1 damage in play, and that's really not where you want to be.
Gosh, you're about to see some fireworks, I think. Oh, there's a sap, too, so he's going to be able to follow up this Auctioneer. If he draws something like Preparation, I feel like this will get out of hand. So he's got a bunch of minions now. Not much to follow it up with, but that Gadgetzan Auctioneer, if you're in D2 spot, this is so uncomfortable because you do not have a direct answer to this right now.
Holy Fire off the top. Hot Steel, he could get something like Eviscerate number 2, but just Sylvanas.
This is
So
such bad news for D2 because Sap is going to start off the turn. Although, if Firebat runs into another minion, he has no more spells.
Oh, and there's a Preparation. I don't know if you use it this turn, though.
Right, no guarantee of being able to play it immediately with something else.
A little bit of a risk. Do you think there's any merit to drawing a card there off your Blood Mage first? You could just run it into the Sylvanas and pick up a card before you sap it.
That's interesting.
that is an interesting thing that he could have done.
Yeah, I would like to see him think about that a little bit more.
What if he, I mean, if you keep the Blood Mage Thanos, it's in a way baiting out your opponent to play Cabal Shadow Priest, right? Like, oh, look, it's free for taking, but then he spends his entire mana doing that turn, and then you have your Gadgetzan Auctioneer.
Yeah, in the meantime, Sylvanas going to have to come down a second time.
Yeah.
My gosh, this is looking so brutal. It picks up an Eviscerate.
Do you ever go double Gadgetzan?
It looks like he's about to go full Gadgetzan. You never go full
I mean,
Northshire,
I've been
but-
warned about this, but I've never seen it with my own
gosh.
eyes.
This is going to be so many cards. There's
we
the
don't
second
get to see
one.
this very often.
2 cards coming into hand.
I mean, that really is the best deal you can afford.
My
Wow.
gosh,
And a
there's
backstab.
You've gotta be
3
kidding
cards
me.
for days.
He's got Shift to draw 4 cards.
Oh my.
Oh, and there's the Cold Blood. That's part of that combo with South Sea Deckhand.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It looks like he's got about 14 damage right now, but that's not counting any other cards he's going to pick up. So he's going to backstab first. If he finds a second Cold Blood, that's 16 damage.
Can you even play Shiv? You will draw so many cards.
Yeah, you might actually overdraw at that point.
I guess he can still do it. He can go up, and he can play Shiv, and that's about it.
Well, also, I think you're just trying to kill your opponent at a certain point too, right?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
digging for damage now. Priest, besides Sludge Vulture, they have very few actual taunt minions that they play. They usually
He's got to
rely
make a
on their
decision,
healing.
though. He's going to go with Dagger, so he doesn't want to He also wants a Dagger equipped for the South Sea Deckhand next turn.
Right.
Really relying on that Cold Blood to go with it. That's 6 points of damage for only 2 mana right now.
Yep, that's a
I
strong
don't know
setup.
what D2 can draw. I don't think Northshire Cleric's one of them. Oh, I think he needed to even have it even close to a chance. I think he needed to have Alkanai.
Yeah.
So
I mean, can he take something off Thought Steal at all from his opponent?
Maybe, but then he's still got to get above 8 life too.
Yeah, that's true. He's at critical levels of health.
Yeah.
The point Firebat can just kill him. And this is what's been so feared from Firebat's Rogue decks because everyone's been banning it from him. Oh, he does pick up the Alkanai Soul Priest.
But he used a Circle of Healing to draw the card.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't think it would have made much of a difference anyway. You look at Firebat's hand; he's got
So much.
2, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's got 9 damage in hand plus the 1 on the board. So even if he had picked up the Circle of Healing for that, he could have healed himself. He could have healed up to 10, cleared the board down, but he would have given his opponent another card, and then there's still 10 points of damage in Firebat's board after that. So inconsequential that he ended up using the Circle of Healing here, but just that's the power of 2 Gadgetzan Auctioneers when this deck gets rolling. It is way too much damage. And Firebat, he's going to take this first game and start out this series 1-0 versus D2.
Yeah, it's all about how Firebat wants to end it at this point.
How many cards does he want? Is he going to draw through his whole deck? Oh, he's going to
he's rubbing it in.
whole deck.
And you know what? He's just doing this because Firebat knows that he can play a little bit into the mind as well and try to just annoy his opponent essentially and put him on tilt for the rest of the series. This is a play for beyond the game.
Look at how many cards he's capable of drawing.
I mean, at this point, you can draw your entire deck out.
All right, well,
Fatigue.
the Cold Blood is revealed.
Wow.
Second cold blood.
Oh, man.
He's going for the biggest auctioneer of all time. 3. He wants to show the entire deck. This is so you guys can screenshot this if you're watching it on Twitch right now, or you're hanging out. Make sure you screenshot this deck list.
He's gonna burn like his Faceless Manipulator.
You want to get to Legend. This is the way you do it. Play this deck because this is looking brutal right now. There you go. There's the Faceless Manipulator. One to the dome. Poke and got him.
A little showmanship. I mean, some players celebrate in the end zone, but Firebat pretty much did an entire play in rehearsal on that. It was a full dance there, so to speak.
Just letting everyone see the deck list again so you guys can take a look at what's going on. And of course, again, the talk of this deck, the South Sea deckhand, coupled with 2 Cold Bloods and the Faceless Manipulator, is 20 points of damage of charge between those 4 cards. That's really what he's showcasing here at this tournament. And one of the reasons I think it's been banned again, it's just people are not prepared for that specific rogue deck to come out.
So how much does that mess with D2's head a little bit here? Because people say that there's not a lot of psychological factors that can impact Hearthstone as long as you keep calm, but
you could see it written on his face a little bit in his body language.
Right.
Coming close to the end of that game, as soon as he knew that he did not have a great answer to Auctioneer, as soon as the second Auctioneer came out on the same board, it was head in hands. It was, oh man, this game is over, and you could see it written on his face. I think he can bounce back. We haven't seen him get completely down and out yet, and he has been down games.
Sure.
So I do think that he will be able to get back in it. He does have a good deck to play against Miracle Rogue, so I do think he will be able to bounce back, and I don't think it'll get to him yet. If he does go down 2-0, maybe it'll be a different story.
This is actually somewhat of a trend that we've been seeing, too, is that D2, he's lost a lot of his game 1s in this tournament so far, and he has been bouncing back and really recovering a lot from it. And I think that frustration on his face, I don't think it was so much that game in particular, but maybe perhaps a little bit of regret on his choice to ban. Again, this is Miracle Rogue is a deck that Firebat is extremely proficient with, and not only that, but he's come with a different version than you've typically seen in tournaments so far. So if there's any frustration there, I don't think it's because of the game loss. I think it's actually more so on the ban choice than anything else.
D2 does have Warlock and his Warrior, 2 decks that he did use to shut down Miracle in the past, including last night, where he was able to take out a really important Miracle deck from Strifecrow. So he is playing Handlock, and that is a deck that people usually say can put on a lot of good responses, or threats rather, and Miracle can't respond easily. Is that the same case with Firebat's version?
It is. It is something where it's true against basically all of the Miracle Rogue variants that we see. The Handlock deck can often make these giant threats that Miracle Rogue struggles to deal with unless they have a particular combination of cards. Things you look for are things like Sap or an early Eviscerate in case there's a big giant. And it can be very, very troublesome. It can consume a lot of resources very early, and then you don't have any spells left, even if you do get your Auctioneer out.
Yeah, a couple things that could be, both kind of an advantage and a disadvantage is Firebat's actually got 2 copies of Cold Blood in his deck. Those really help push through some of those big minions. Say he's got a Blood Mage on the board. A backstab with a Cold Blood is going to take out a giant, and then he gets to pick up the card from the Blood Mage he had out. He's also got a copy of Faceless Manipulator in his deck. There's some potential to Faceless Manipulator something like a Mountain Giant, and then use Preparation and Sap, and then suddenly you're the one who's playing Handlock versus your opponent. But at that same degree, one of the ways that Rogue typically does very well against his Giants Warlock decks is that it gets a lot of damage and a lot of mileage just from minions being on the board. And there's no copies of Violet Teacher. There's no Earthen Ring Farseers that we saw. This deck is a lot more focused on comboing. So I think in terms of his consistent game plan, it's not quite going to be there, but he's definitely got some very tricky cards up his sleeve that can really turn the games around.
All right, and turning around is what D2 must do to even up this series. Game 2 is about to begin, and it looks like it will be that Handlock versus Rogue. Let's see if D2 can even up or will Firebat jump out to a 2-0 lead. Polished up those mana crystals ready for game 2. And here we go. Will Rogue start on the coin? They really need that extra card. It's really interesting because a lot of times the Handlock player wants to play their threats faster, so they don't mind going first. But then taking the coin and the card away from Miracle Rogue isn't so bad either.
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting difference from the way that I've seen. I'm gonna use a reference point for this. Strifecrow in one of the Tavern Takeover events. He was keeping stuff like Azure Drake in his hand.
Right.
And he kept a Gnomish Inventor and an After Drake in his hand against Handlock. I was kind of like, what in the world is going on? And that's really where I learned how valuable stuff like the repetitive damage, just that extra card, and then the 4 damage body they can put on the board is. But Firebat taking a very different route here. You actually saw he had After Drake and Basis Manipulator, 2 cards that I mentioned could be potentially key to this matchup. Right. He's pitching him away, so he's just looking straight away from Gadget Stand Auctioneer and looking to get the ball rolling.
Oh man, Firebat completely caught off guard by that emote.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do.
He wasn't sure how to respond.
Yeah. Really?
You guys are going at it.
Well, preparation, not something he's going to need right now. It could play well for the future if he does get something, especially like a Gadget Stand Auctioneer. It is a card that is important against Handlock.
Yeah. How long until they squelch each other? That's what I'm counting now.
Firebat's not a squelcher.
They're just making a way. They're just making a way around the entire emo circle.
This is like an awkward Hearthstone dating service.
Oh,
You can only talk in emotes back and forth with each other.
Speed Hearthstone. Yeah.
Well, the potential for coin Twilight Drake is here, and that is the play that he makes, and he even still fires out the SI7 agent, being as defensive as possible.
Really crucial that he kept on that Sludge Belcher too. I think that's probably the best card in his hand at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't a pretty hand for Firebat. Again, a lot of this deck hinges upon having that Auctioneer draw every time you play a spell, and until you get that, you're always just sitting and burning a lot of your resources. You might not have anything left if he's forced to use all of this defensively.
He's got about 20 points of damage over the course of the next couple turns, though. That's a lot of gas that's sitting in his hand. Wow, he's just going to Deadly Poison straight away. He's just going to go for face.
Yeah, and that does mean that Sludge Belcher not getting discarded by the Soulfire was so important.
Wow.
Oh, that's a draw.
You know, this is something I've seen Firebat do a lot too. Is in practice when he's playing Miracle Rogue, I've seen him just play Leroy straight away just to get in 6 points of damage.
Okay.
Gadget Auctioneer really changing the dynamic of this hand though. But it's sort of what I was touching on. He likes to sneak in a lot of this attack damage under taunts in matchups like this. And look, he's probably going to do it again right here. These 2 Cold Bloods are going to come out. He's just trying to get the damage in under these taunts.
Before the taunt could come out, getting the Cold Blood damage in, not waiting for a sap or a taunt
10
giver.
points of damage.
I would not blame him for attacking with the dagger either. The threat of Molten is real, but it has to be paired with the taunt giver, of course, and he already has 2 giant minions anyway. Why not just get in there?
Wow.
But now it's going to be all direct damage for the rest of the game.
He's just down to 10 already. That Sludge Belcher's got to come out this turn, unless he draws something like a Sun Fury Protector.
He's got Sludge Belcher and Molten Giant.
It is going to be
He's going to be turning on the gas right back on his opponent.
This D2's got to think about this turn pretty carefully here because look at your opponent has a 10-1 out that you need to attack right now. One of these Twilight Drakes going to be taken down by this South Sea Deckhand.
He's got to get rid of the 10-1.
This thing's about to deal 18 damage. That guy's doing work.
The risk of sap is way too high. There is no way he can go without killing the 10-1.
Oh yeah, he's got to kill it.
Do you feel like you can, like, that is his primary charger, so how necessary is the taunt versus like using an Iron Beak Owl, silencing, keeping one of your Drakes alive, and having a lot of power on the board with the Farseer to heal up?
I feel like in this position, I'm kind of afraid of the fact that I'm at 10 life. I see your point though. I think that healing up is definitely has a lot of merit to it, and if he does heal up, it makes a lot of sense to play Iron Beak Owl. Of course, playing Molten Giant first, though.
I mean, how many other chargers, or how many other ways will taunt keep you alive other than just weapon damage?
It's just the dagger, but at this point, I'm afraid of even the dagger. There could be another deadly poison waiting in the wings, and that could spell disaster if you were to not taunt.
Yeah.
You're much more. Oh, but he's going to go for the heal, and this is not that bad now.
I like Brennan's, but this shows that D2's really done a lot of his research too. He knows there's not like an Arcane Golem or Leroy Jenkins or something like that in here. So really on top of point, remembering these deck lists that he's seen earlier in the tournament.
Oh,
yikes!
There's a conceal drawn
well, here's the
Shadow
thing.
Flame.
It's not about the Shadow Flame, but it's about finding the damage to end the game.
D2's got 21 damage on the board, by the way. There's a Vex.
Any spell he can draw, anything that's not a minion, would be great for Firebat.
There's a Shiv.
And Shiv digs deeper in the deck, right?
It does dig deeper. I think the card he wants, though, would have been a Deadly Poison right there off of the preparation.
Oh, yeah. He's going to go straight for
and then draw into the other Eviscerate next turn. It's got to just go to the face.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Oh, very interesting.
I did not expect that. Once he had committed this plan, I thought he was pretty much committed.
Oh,
another
my goodness.
preparation.
And now he gets to prep Fan and Knives and take that out as well. He could have bought himself another turn here.
Well, this is where the Shadow Flame is going to be quite devastating unless Firebat picks up another Gadget Stand in the next coming turns.
Okay, well, there is a sap now, so he will be able to pave the way from the Sludge Belcher, but he's going to have to choose between Sludge Belcher or Shadow Flame. It's got to be Shadow Flame, right?
Oh, you have to Shadow Flame here. No doubt about it.
Yes, I think so. But then you don't really tap, right? You can't go any lower.
I don't feel comfortable tapping right now. Maybe that's just me, but
Well,
High stakes.
the question is, does D2 feel comfortable tapping right now?
yeah, I don't feel comfortable with D2 tapping. What do you guys think? Let me know if you think D2's comfortable tapping right now, or if you would be comfortable. Tweet at us, Frodan, Reels, and That's Admirable. Let us know what you think.
The Iron Beak Owl also doesn't contribute much either in this.
Blade
department.
Flurry's not much right now. This hand went from spectacular to lackluster in just a couple of turns here.
All right, well, let's see what Shiv draws us here for Firebat before we start declaring if this game is over or not. Because, I mean, anything could happen right now.
It is not over just yet.
Oh, no. Not by any means.
Interesting. I mean, Firebat was playing around the fact that he might die last turn. That's why he took care of those Azure Drakes as well as he did. But at the same time, did the fact that he played for survival
Here we go.
give him his chance from being able to win this game?
It's tough to say. Do you sap this Molten Giant here, or are you hanging on against
That's
the
too
Sludge
much
Belcher?
damage, right?
Oh, wow.
Oh. You know, it's the right play, too. That's what's crazy, because his opponent can't kill him. His opponent needs 5 damage off the top. It needs to be Leroy.
Yeah, so Soulfire's enough. Hellfire can take out that concealed minion, though.
But he does damage himself, too, in the
Yeah, he'll
process.
fall to 7.
And he can't play a taunt. All right, so he's going to load up as much power on board.
Oh, gosh.
And we do know that there is some damage, and Firebat needs to draw a few more points in order to end this game.
Oh,
Van
Van
Cleef's
Cleef's not
not
going
it.
to do it. I think that's the game.
He can't stall any longer, right? He needs, in order to survive, he has to sap and kill. Oh, but then the Hellfire might just kill him too.
Well, he can sap the Molten Giant, but yes, the Hellfire will be able to finish him off. Basically, no matter what.
Okay. Hang on. He can sap the Molten Giant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He can sap the Molten Giant, make a dagger, attack the Sludge Belcher, Blade Flurry to clear it out. And then there's the 1 point of damage from the slime left, and then 3 from Hellfire, so he can't live one more turn.
If he attacks the Sludge Belcher with his dagger...
No, he
takes
just
3
Blade
damage.
Flurries.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like that is the line of play that he has chosen.
So he stays alive for 1 more turn. I mean, he doesn't have anything left, but he's not dead.
Yeah, and Hellfire does damage the Warlock too.
Yeah.
But D2 just needs 1 point of damage to finish off his opponent.
1 damage off lethal. Can he get it?
No, he's
No,
one
he's
mana.
one mana
off
off
lethal.
Lethal.
How can you even justify? Like, I mean, the tap to win the game, or do you just play super defensive
Oh
once
my
again?
gosh. I think you play defensively. I mean, your opponent's already got to get through this slime. They have to deal you 8 points of damage. I think you're in good shape.
You're just all in at this point. SI7 is just a little bit of damage, but Firebat needs some help. Even if he drew Gadget Stand, it's not going to be helpful.
Basis manipulation.
Basis is so big, but...
Basis is trolling hardcore right now.
Okay, so he's 1 mana off of being able to faceless the 1/1 taunt. Then SI7 is a big game hunter, and then use his dagger to poke the taunt and have it stand in the way of the Molten Giant.
Wow,
So
what
that's
a
gonna be game.
crazy game too. And it looks like D2 will even it up.
One
We have
game to
ourselves
1.
a series.
Yes, we do, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, some fantastic play from D2. He was in a lot of tight spots that game with a lot of very close decisions. And I actually like the play that you saw. That was the line of play that he went with as well, which is the Earthen Ring Farseer, because he knew his opponent was at a potential charge damage. So the taunt wasn't quite as important as just getting his life total up and getting out of the range of these spells. And there, again, just how many turns he held off on Sludge Belcher to make sure he was making utility plays, really heads-up plays, showing him that his research and his memory really paying off dividends in this game.
Absolutely. It was a really nice sequence of plays. Now he's got that very powerful handlock. Mind you, handlock was the deck, that control warlock that won the last match 3-0. Now it is in the hands of D2 playing against Firebat. Now that his rogue is gone, what is the response?
Well, Firebat has Hunter and his own Warlock, but we know that this Warlock is not handlock.
That's right.
I quintuple checked Admirable. It's Zoo.
You finally got a prediction right. That's good.
I do.
I'm glad to
First
hear you
time
were-
for everything.
Yeah, I mean, you guess enough 50-50s, eventually hit one of them.
I mean, a solar eclipse happens also once upon a time, but eventually, if you stick around long enough, you'll catch it.
Yeah, so Firebat's got Zulok. It's a way different deck. It's he's looking to leverage early game pressure to really close out the game. But D2, he's stuck with his handlock deck for this game. I think Firebat's got to go with his Hunter deck and try to push through the damage and really put a lot of pressure on this game.
The Hunter does make more sense. On paper, it is the favorite against the Control Warlock, but we've seen Handlock defeat Hunter multiple times in just this World Championship alone.
Fans are getting into it. They're loving what they're seeing. You guys loving some Hearthstone action?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
Oh,
and I mean, Firebat realizing he's like,
I love the energy that's here right now. It's getting me pumped
more
up.
intense.
Yeah, buddy.
Remember, this best of 5 is $35,000 on the line guarantee. Let's go into game 3 and see if Firebat can take the momentum, or will D2 continue the train with his handlock?
Yeah, buddy. Keys to this victory, Reels. What do you think the handlock's got to do to make sure he can stay in this game?
Lots of early minions.
Yes.
Lots and lots of early minions. Maybe a Mortal Coil, and of course, our favorite friend of the World Championships. Perhaps a whole parliament of owls in his hand would be good too.
That would be excellent. You know, having those owls would just be great to disable whatever your hunter can get started off early. And you also have a 2-1 buy that usually kills off anything that's on the board anyways.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out something. Statistically, the best handlock versus hunter player in this entire tournament has been D2. I counted 3 times he's slayed a hunter with his handlock this tournament.
There's a reason why he made it to the semifinals, is there not? He knows how to navigate this matchup. He knows the keys to victory, whether I do or not, and he is going to try to find them and use them as best as he can.
Well, I think he nailed one. You know, he kept that owl in his opening hand.
He did.
As you were saying, I think it's a really important card in this matchup. Unfortunately, we can't have a parliament of them because this is not Europe. This is not EU. So
Right.
Yeah, well, it's the Americas,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
Canada's in the
Yeah,
Americas.
it's a Congress of owls.
Congress of Elves, yeah. 2 leper gnomes.
He also has a taunt giver, but I think Soulfire also might be useful, especially against what you are fearing of an animal companion, or if there's something protecting a minion.
What's your start with do you lead with the knife juggler?
I think you just slam double
You just
leper
leper
gnomes.
gnomes and go for it?
Yeah,
All
you
right,
just get
he's
it-
going to
you
go
just get
for
it in
it.
there.
I like it, and I'm sure a lot of aggressive players out there agree. D2 is already in a bit of trouble. He's got that Iron Beak Owl, which is going to help shore this up. But this is a great start, and Big Game Hunter is not the follow-through that you're looking for. Oh, God.
There's no, I mean, you feel like you have to play the Iron Beak Owl, right? If you tap, you're taking way too much damage.
Yeah.
And being so passive.
You're still taking a lot of damage to this even.
Well, now he has an option. He can play out the Knife Juggler or the Direwolf Alpha. Considering one of his guys did get silenced and there is that owl threatening now, I think the Knife Juggler is the more likely play, Juggler plus trade. But he could play the Direwolf Alpha. It would be an additional damage this turn.
And that additional damage does end up mattering a lot of the times. What happens in this Hunter deck is you're booing damage up until the point where you expect your opponent to play big minions, and then you rely on direct damage like your hero power and kill command to finish the game.
You know, something
right.
really small I want to point out here. How important is it to use your non-silenced leper gnome to get through damage versus saving that damage to maybe not enable Molten Giant sooner and then push through after the Molten Giants come down? Not that it's ever going to matter. It's not going to matter that often considering we're so early into the game, but is there any sort of merit to thinking about something that small?
You have to at least think about it, right?
Yeah, I just feel like it's not going to matter too much again because we're so early on, but yeah, as you guys
Will
call
he even
it.
survive to that point?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, he could go for the double juggle here.
I wonder.
How do you feel about the double juggle?
I feel like you're going to waste a point of damage just a small portion of the time. I think it's safer to just go ahead and go for the leper gnome. It looks like he's going to try to draw for something else.
Oh, my goodness.
Think
Well,
those options.
Direwolf Alpha sure is a beast. And there is a good chance that Poundmaster is going to be able to pick up its buff onto that Direwolf Alpha.
Ancient Culture is pretty key. This is so far coming out. Discards a Siphon Soul, which is, I think he's happy to keep his Defender of Argus,
Defender is
yeah,
good.
but Siphon Soul I think is actually going to be pretty key in this matchup because you know, straight away, this damage is going to start piling in. And
Any life you can gain is honestly very helpful in this matchup because it helps you race better against your opponent.
yep. Go straight to the face. So this Eagle Horn Bow likely going to be able to answer this this Twilight Drake on the backswing. In the meantime, it's got another 4-powered body out.
Oh,
wow, that faces Manipulator.
That was
actually pretty
great
good.
draw.
That's a pretty critical draw right now, I'd say.
That's right. There's a new doggy on the block.
All right, so trade down the board here, really solid.
Well, you know, there is a drawback to having the Undertaker drawn later, but when you're picking up other death rattles above it, that's another 3/4 creature right back at his opponent. This pressure is not relenting, and this is where it's so critical for D2 to pick up a Shadow Flame or some way to clear the board here.
Yeah. What do you think about going for this Undertaker here instead of using the bow and something, maybe just like a Haunted Creeper, or even a Hero Power to follow that up? Because right now, this Twilight Drake, it's going to be able to follow up on this Undertaker straight away.
Well, I can't really blame him. I do think it is a reasonable sequence. You could have done it with the bow, but now he still has the bow ready to go, and it's going to be able to take out the Sludge Belcher and still have a charge left with the secret behind it. So if he had used the bow to attack last turn, he would have had to attack with it again this turn, almost certainly.
He gets a freezing trap behind it too, and that's going to get popped by that
That
slime.
sludge.
It does give him an extra charge on the bow though, so he's getting his charge back despite that. Man, this is still anyone's game very easily.
Firebat's in top deck mode. He's out of cards, but he still has his hero power to rely upon.
That's got to be the worst draw in his deck right
About
now.
the worst.
That may never be able to get played this game.
Yeah.
So often, Mountain Giant is one of the cards you want as early as you can get it, as often as you can get it, when you're playing the Warlock deck.
Shield for Argon.
So you want to attack into it, so
I
he's going to
agree.
keep the 2/2
He
taunts.
wants to get his Defender of Argus back on the chance that it's going to be a freezing trap.
There's an Iron Begowl. Oh my gosh, do you have
that's
to owl this
interesting.
Ancient Watcher?
That is so interesting.
Oh gosh.
Well, it loses taunt, at least for now, but there's a good chance that it will regain taunt just because of the freezing trap.
This makes a lot of sense. I think he's going to attack the Defender of Argus with his bow, and then when this Ancient Watcher has to attack, it's going straight back to the hand. So that silence really not going to matter here other than popping that trap. So
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, this
very,
is
very good
really
sequence
heads
of
up play. And Sludge Belcher comes into the
Sludge Belcher
hand.
number 2.
That is so necessary to be able to start defending against this board because this was a lot of damage that was about to start coming across.
It's still going to be. The fact is, as much as Sludge Belcher can keep you alive, the Handlock needs to draw into those minions like the Molten Giant that'll be really cheap to start swinging back at your opponent to win the game.
That's another question here. Do you start life tapping again, or do you? Because that's working against you now because you have the 2 damage coming in from the opposing hero power. If
That's
you
right.
start dealing 2 damage
That's right.
yourself, you need something like a Jiraxis or another heal effect to really bring it back up. How comfortable are you with that?
Yikes.
Yikes indeed. Well, the Ancient Watcher does indeed to come back. He attacked to the face and not at a minion just in case.
Oh, wow.
And he does like that.
You know, if he draws in the Taunt Giver, this is actually a pretty good hand, but...
Right, but Sun Fury Protector is what he needs.
Yep.
Oh,
Savannah
Savannah's
Highmon.
winning.
News.
Oh, Savannah Highmon right off the top. It's going to hit the... That's got to be one of the best draws in the deck right now.
It was that or Kill Command were probably the 2 best possible ones.
But there are a lot. Like, this Sludge Belcher is annoying.
Oh, for
even
sure.
if you trade off every single minion, there's still a 1/1 slime.
You know,
remaining.
I would like to see him trade down some minions here in the off chance.
Oh,
there's
there's
the
the
Mountain
Mountain.
Giant. Wow, these draws are a slugfest right now, just back and forth.
If he was 1 health lower, he had 2 giants coming out this turn.
And that's the type of pressure he needs to either turn it around. He has to find a way to clear the board to defend himself.
So many.
Look at D2. He's really weighing all of his options here. How do you even go about this?
This is such
How
a
many
critical
turns
draw.
can he kill him in his opponent if he's playing this giant? That's 8 damage per turn, but you don't even get it. He's
gonna
gonna
live
tap.
tap again.
Well, it doesn't let him play the Mountain Giant, but he does have the Twilight Drake instead.
I mean, he's still got power on the board. That's what matters. And positioning might also be key, too, with how you're lining up the taunts and everything else. This Ancient Watcher needs to be between things so that way he can get the taunts in.
Gosh, you hit a minion here with this Sludge Belcher, or?
Yeah, I think because if your opponent uses the Savannah Highmane to kill off the 3/5 body, then he can use his ideal trades in. If you pick off the Iron Beak Owl, then his trades are a little bit more awkward.
Right.
He's got to think about how much damage he can deal in 2
That's
turns,
true.
though. Yeah. So next turn he's got 12. Next turn he's got 15 damage. So I think that the damage to the face is inconsequential right now.
This is right.
Yeah, I agree with this.
D2 is on
Really
point.
smart.
And
Animal
oh,
Companion could be
This
amazing.
could be
Leon.
big. Is it going to be
Is it
Leon?
Leon?
it is!
Is that going to be the game?
Looks like lethal.
That is the game. That is lethal damage.
Wowie! Normally you get Leon and you go, gosh dang it, Hunter, I get it every time. But this is the time you really need it. Savannah Highmaid delivering the final 7 points of damage here. Firebat going up 2 games to 1 versus D2. A match that he needed to win. And look, Spider, he's trying to take on that giant. Red Star's going to finish him off.
You can't win them all, D2. Handlock versus Hunter does eventually go the opposite direction, and we have ourselves match point for Firebat.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh, not only are you having to battle the pressure of being on stage and playing for this much money at one time, but also the energy of this crowd. I'm certain that even though that booth soundproof, you can feel some of the vibrations coming. I feel them in my boots right now.
Just a little bit of that rumble.
Just coming through the floor. I mean, every single moment of that, and then one step closer to elimination too. Like, he was very close to turning that game around there. I think the difference really is maybe something as small as having discarded that Siphon Soul instead of discarding that other Ancient Watcher.
Yeah, I don't know. The Ancient Watcher looked like a good keep at the time. The Siphon, yeah, I don't need that. But the game just played out in such a way that maybe it could have been a critical turning point. We just didn't know it yet. At this point, now it's down back foot for D2. 1 deck left, and he's got to pick up 2 wins with it. He's done it before.
That's right, and he's going to rely on his Warrior deck, which, again, he's used a few times to shut down these Hunters, as he's been seeing from time to time. Warrior is well equipped to fight up against these Hunters.
Oh, there's no doubt
you
about
like
it.
that. Reels nodded. That's
Indeed.
right. That was a subtle one.
They are well equipped to deal with what Hunter is throwing out at them. And it's still, though, of the type of matchup where Hunter often still takes the win. They have some really frustrating cards for for Warrior to deal with. It's maybe only slightly in Warrior's favor.
I have to disagree with you on that. I think on the games that Hunter wins, it wins with, pretty commandingly, so it feels like maybe you win a little bit more with Hunter than you actually do. But if the Warrior gets any early pressure and then follows through on that, well, that's where Hunter really struggles. Even if Hunter has a lot of early game pressure and can scale into a Savannah Highmaid right on turn 6, if a Warrior has put together a bunch of armor by that point and maybe has a minion or 2 on the board, going in turn 6 they can use something like a Shield Slam and then a Sludge Belcher. The board's almost fully recovered by that point. And at that point, the Hunter starts really running out of gas. It's relying on that hero power to put in 2 points of damage, but the hero powers are just trading back and forth. The Warrior's going to give him 2 armor. So I think that's
true.
What has to happen in this matchup is the Warrior's going to have to stumble. And when Warrior stumbles, that's when it loses most of its games anyways, just when it can't put together the cards early enough to fight off the pressure and really get the armor rolling.
And the last time we did see D2 play Warrior against Hunter, he absolutely dismantled it. So he knows the cards to mulligan for, he knows what he's looking for. He's going to try to piece together that strong defense. And Warrior is a class that does turn around the game very quickly as soon as they get an opening.
Well, he has the plan, but does he have the execution for it? Game number 4 is about to begin between D2 and Firebat. Firebat's on match point. If he wins, he's going to the grand finals, but D2 might have something to say about it. The Warrior class, one of the best equipped classes to fight off against the Hunter because of its early removal options with weapons and spells.
And the staying power of its hero power to be able to stay out of that last hit range.
I see some good tools already. Oh, Ragnaros, you're going to have to wait for a while, but Ragnaros might even come to play too. It's a card Hunter has a hard time dealing with if they use all their Hunter's Mark prematurely.
Way back in the day, this was actually a card you kept in your opening hand against Hunter because you couldn't afford to attack into misdirections and explosive traps.
Oh, that's true. Misdirection.
You would keep Ragnaros, so turn 8 you would just slam him and just let the Ragnaros attack him.
Can you imagine if Blizzard let misdirection from Ragnaros just all of a sudden just redirect like mid-fireball and just sweep back and hit your own face?
I'm imagining the animation.
Wow.
That would be pretty cool.
Man.
Look at this hand from D2. This has got everything. It's got weapons to start generating, board presence. It's got Acolyte to pay with Cool Taskmaster to fuel back up. What's a bad draw at this point? If you're looking at D2, almost any card he draws is a valuable card at this point because he's got more than enough to start scaling into the mid-game.
Yeah, this is what I would take if I wanted to shut down a party that was a little too rowdy next door. I'd take a Death Spite, I'd take a Cool Taskmaster, and I'd be like, you know what, stop it.
Yeah.
Trying to sleep. I have a big cast tomorrow. You know what? Firebat has a little bit of a clunky start. It's not exactly mana efficient, and it starts to get a little bit worse because the Sludge Belt is not coming out for a while.
This is going to run right. I think this is going to run right into a turn 1 Cruel Taskmaster, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's
Such an efficient way to take out Leperno.
When you're the Hunter player, that's a really gross feeling. You know, this seems like a really small thing, but D2 already out to a pretty big lead in terms of board advantage.
No, that's not what he wants. This happens every so often with Hunter, by the way. As much as they do have good starts, they also have some pretty awful curves, and that can cost them the game. Like, he's losing so much momentum. It's all about snowballing that early board.
Well, there will be no snowball. The snowball has been stopped. D2's got the sun out, melted away.
We're in California. No snow here.
And yeah, double Leper Gnome start really isn't as good when you're going first as it usually is when you're going second. So it has been a little bit tough. It's been more of like a hiccup in his play throughout the early turns here.
You know, Firebat, he's actually drawn a lot of 5-drops at this point, too. This could start to add up, because Sludge Belcher is one of the better cards against weapons, I would say. And in this matchup, you know, the weapons are good, but you want them early. In the mid-game, the weapons lose a lot of value because that's when the Hunter's trying to pressure your life total. So these Sludge Belchers might come into a lot more effect than initially anticipated.
They can be very effective against the weapons. The thing is, though, that there is a Black Knight waiting in the wings for D2. Ooh. So one of those Sludge Belchers at least will be able to be dealt with very efficiently. And that could make a big difference as well.
Wow, using his own life total, he's going aggressive against the Hunter player, and he does have Grommash in hand with weapons and Death Fight, so
I don't blame him here.
He's piecing together an aggressive push. D2 might be looking to end this game a lot quicker than he anticipated.
Well, it's a slew of 5-drops. Animal Companion the most likely play here, but there are a lot of things you can get that aren't even that exciting at this point. Basically, any of the companions that you get, you know are going to be dealt with pretty efficiently.
Yeah, I think that's what he's thinking about, too. He didn't play it straight away.
Tough call.
That's exactly what he's looking at. He's thinking about how much average damage he's going to get out of an Animal Companion.
Right.
And the Hero Power is going to get more average damage straight away. He's only going to roll a Huff for 33% of the time.
That's right.
33.33 repeating, of course. Percent chance.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Well,
I got that reference.
Maybe it is time for Sludge Belcher now.
It's time for something. You can't just keep hero powering. It's just too optimistic for you to chase down the Warriors' life total.
I think I like Lotham more, actually, because Lotham's going to draw a lot of heat in this position. That's going to allow you to follow up with Undertaker and then Sludge Belcher. I think had he not drawn that Undertaker, I probably would have favored Lotham. Or, sorry, I probably would have favored Sludge Belcher as well. But that one small draw, I think, can change the dynamic of this. He's actually, wow, he's playing really long term, trying to get a ton of mileage out of his hero power.
Yeah, he's trying to leverage his hero power as much as he can the whole way through. He's decided that that is his best way to do it. Oh, and a Sludge Belcher drawn for D2, though, as well. Considering he's the defensive player here, as long as he survives for a long time, he, of course, is going to end up winning the game as the Warrior. So,
and Firebat's happy if D2 uses his weapon once again to attack into it, right?
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
not using Execute, but
absolutely.
And this is like a tough position. D2 really wants to draw a way to deal with
Execute.
it.
Oh, and he doesn't have to take that 4 damage now.
I don't know if this is still the right play, though, because then he can't follow up with a 5-drop.
Yeah,
but now he's got to think about, is the life that he's going to pay worth developing a 5-drop this turn? And I think a lot of times it is, yeah.
You know, and even saving it, because you know your opponent has those high mains or even bigger threats, saving that Execute might even be more useful in those scenarios.
What now?
If you were going to play Execute when you attack this way, though, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like that was, it seems like what he was going for, because he could have just whirlwinded and then used the axe this way. He would have still had the Acolyte on the board. He would have drawn an extra card. Like, he would still have another potential card draw there. I feel like once he's gotten to this point, you know, maybe it was just a little bit of an oversight. Maybe he wants to keep the whirlwind and maybe sweep out some Haunted Creepers, things like that.
Yeah.
But now that he's attacked the weapon, he's definitely playing a 5-drop. He's just debating which one he's going to go.
Yeah, Sludge is really good at protecting your life totals. Firebat can answer with his own.
Well, and if he does, there's going to be a Black Knight ready to go. To take it right out, he's going to be able to clear out Firebat's board, and there will be no hero power have been used on Firebat's turn.
Ouch, you're dead.
Yeah, this board's going to get dangerous. Oh, gosh, that Black Knight. Some are going to pass.
Man,
they're just not going to be through the
Sludge.
other side of the board. They're passing through Firebat's side of the board. Don't listen to what Black Knight has to say. He's a liar.
It's gonna be a huge swing too, because look how much pressure he's got in the following turns. On turn 7, he can play Death Spike and then set up for a turn 8 finish.
Oh, and look at Firebat.
This Black Knight is such a big swing because I think in 2 turns D2 can kill the Hunter player.
Yeah, I agree with you here too. This is going to be a really tough spot for Firebat. You can see it in his face straight away. That Black Knight was a dagger to the heart. I don't know if he can climb out of this position. He's got a kill command right now, but he's still got to push the Sludge Belcher first.
Yeah.
That Eagle Horn bow normally would represent 6 points of damage, but not on the board like this.
Even Loatheb, as large and intimidating and powerful as it is, doesn't do much into this board. It's just going to be a Sludge Belcher and a Hero Power, so he's trying to get something in the way, but you're absolutely right. This can get crashed through. This is going to get broken down quite easily by D2.
Ooh.
Oh, an Armor Smith
So
too.
there's 2 ways that D2 can play this turn. He can play aggressive and set up for a kill with Gromosh, or he can play super defensive, and he's got ways to gain lots of life, play keep away, and he's got removal. So it's which path does D2 feel like best optimizes his chance to win?
Really good question. What I'm sort of thinking about is does it really matter which one you take? I feel like at this point, if you gain a bunch of life or if you go really aggressive, you're in a very good spot to win. Your opponent isn't going to have the mana to say, drop a beast, use even 2 kill commands and hero power if they wanted to. They'd have to have a beast, 2 kill commands, and an arcane shot or something weird. This is if you don't gain any life, mind you.
You know, with 2 Sludge Belchers, though, that's a lot of life gain from this Armor Smith. I find that hard to pass up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that one. This is a ton of armor. This is made to fit, and maybe this game 4 is made to fit in D2's pocket, tying the series up a little bit. Snake Trap not going to do it.
That's one of the worst cards he could draw at this stage. Will Flare draw into anything else that he can need
Oh,
here?
he's going to need to draw like an earthquake or a tsunami or something to...
4 kill commands? 4 kill commands?
4 kill commands.
A second one is
He
not
needs to
going do
draw
it.
that new card in Goblins vs. Gnomes that every time a minion dies, a Leopard Gnome summoned.
Oh, second Snake Trap.
Rexar is trolling hard right now. We have 11 damage on the board for the warrior player.
And at this point, I think you could feel pretty safe just standing behind those taunts.
Right.
Even if they were to both get silenced, it would be unlikely for your opponent to be able to do that and put together enough damage to kill you.
With Armor Smith still on the field and
Yeah,
2
and Armor
Sludge
Smith is still there
Belchers
too, absolutely.
in prime condition.
Well, if you don't do any damage to this Sludge Belcher, I'm sorry, to this Loatheb here, or do damage to your minions, something like Owl, Kill Command, Hero
man.
Power would actually
Take out
potentially
this
be able to end it.
Whirlwind.
Yeah, this is going to prompt the Whirlwind here.
Spin to win, baby.
6 mana Whirlwind.
Gain 3 life, kill off your opponent's board.
That is a perfect response to what's going on. D2 up to effective 21 health.
Once again, he's also used a card that can kill his opponent the next turn. He still doesn't have the lethal damage on turn 9 for him.
It's just a deferred victory. It's still a winning path. He's just trying to be as safe as possible. Offer comes out. Well, there's some monsters in your way, buddy.
Yeah, I think you have to clear as much as possible. I don't know how much Snake Trap can really help in this scenario either. You don't have any minions.
Oh, look at
I think
this.
he's going to leave up the Sludge Belcher.
Gonna get a couple minions. Trying to put together some pieces, but again, D2 just at 23 effective HP right now.
Yeah, it makes sense killing off as many taunts as possible. He's going to test once again to see what trap it is, and it is going to be Snake Trap confirmed once D2 hits the face. But it almost doesn't really matter what he does. Firebat needs 23 damage through a Sludge Belcher and Armor Smith.
That ain't happening this turn, I can tell you that, which means D2 has locked this up.
And we're going to go to game 5.
Yeah, he's going to have tied this series.
Oh, he's going to try and see if he can do anything else, but I think Firebat sees the writing on the wall. Game 4 is over. We're going to game 5.
Yeah, buddy. Talk about a series. So many of these matches this weekend have gone to game 5, and of course, no surprise, as these fields thin out, the players just keep getting better. And again, you know, that early pressure that the Warrior put on the Hunters board, just their ability to develop, and then combine that with the staggered draw from Firebat. Did he have an opportunity to make any decisions that could have kept him in that game?
Well, I do think that it was just a stifling draw from D2. he really played it perfectly. He knew exactly what cards he wanted early on. He got all the help he needed. He put it together in a way that I don't think there was a way that he could have dealt with it. The answers to whatever Firebat could have thrown at him were all there already. Very nicely done.
Yeah, you know, as much as a lot of those times you have a good start, we also saw D2 earlier in the tournament have a great start against Hunter. He had almost the exact same hand with Fiery War Axe, Cool Taskmaster, and Armorsmith. And then he actually still lost that game despite shutting down the Hunter early aggression. And that can easily happen despite the fact that you have the right tools. And D2 even admitted that he actually played that early game a little bit shaky. So in the end, it doesn't matter how good you start. It's all about making sure that mid game is secure and yet you finish strong.
Well, he just had a stranglehold on the board the whole time. And that's going to leave him yet again with his warrior needing to win 2 games. He's done it before to take down a series. He has to get a second win with his warrior yet again. And there's only 1 deck remaining for Firebat to fight against it.
It's his Warlock deck.
Yeah,
it's his trusty Zoo deck that he feels like it's one of his better decks. In fact, he's come from the school of thought that if you don't bring the Zoo to a deck, or to the tournament, you're doing yourself a disfavor because of how brutally efficient it is, granted the state of the metagame. Everyone's playing control decks in tournaments. There's only a few really good aggro decks, and that's where people really don't accommodate Zoo as much as they should.
Yeah, he's 3-0'd a couple people in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
And one of those times, at least one of those times has been with Zoo. Just so much, the amount of pressure it can apply so fast. If your opponent is not 100% prepared for that, you know, some of these deck builds, players will come into this tournament and they'll anticipate a lot of control decks from their opponents, which means they'll make their control deck just a little bit slower than it normally would be to try to give them an edge in the slower matchups. When that happens, they really weaken their matchups against some of these aggro decks, and that's the kind of thing that Firebat's trying to take advantage of when he plays a strategy like this.
I believe Firebat 2-0 with Zoo, and then he ended up getting reverse sweeps, right?
That also happened.
Yeah,
That also happened, that's true.
He ended up 3-0 with Miracle and also with his Druid deck, and that was, or it was close to the Druid deck, right?
Yesterday he 3-0'd with Zoo at one point, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russia.
Let's see how it goes into game number 5. Firebat needs to win this here, or else D2 is going to the finals, and D2 will complete the comeback with Warrior. What's going to happen? We're about to find out. This Zoo deck does have lots of early game options and aggression, but the Warrior is one of the best decks at handling both while being able to put on counter pressure. That's what people say the strength is of Warrior. Are you laughing because it's not Zoo and it's hand locking, you're totally trolling me?
No, I'm laughing because of how glorious it is that these two guys are sitting down for a single game of Hearthstone.
Your soul
$35,000 right now. There is so much on the line. There's an Undertaker in the opening hand. It looks like D2 is going to have a couple of different mulligan decisions here. We've seen him keep shield block over and over again. I'm curious if this is one of the keys to his success. He's going to pitch it away this game. I can't disagree with that. I think Fiery War Axe paramount to his success in this game.
Especially because of Undertaker. You need a way to deal with it early on.
Yes, Firebat. So aggressive in that mulligan. He wants early. Oh my gosh.
It could get out of hand so fast.
He's got the coin as well, so he's starting with double Undertaker. Picks up an abusive Sergeant so he can even threaten something like Armorsmith.
Bring out your
Well, he
dead.
can threaten Armorsmith with just the Undertakers plus the Ruby Egg.
Oh my
And here we
gosh.
Bring out
You talk
your
about
dead.
nightmares. Turn 1.
Oh, I
double
dreamed about this last night. I woke up in a cold sweat.
Well, that Warlock
I know that
secret
feel,
not gonna
bro.
be doing much for Firebat.
Okay, so
Sorry.
he plays the Ruby Egg here. This is so brutal.
It is quite good. It's likely that he'll just end up bashing down on the Armorsmith.
Yeah, the cool Taskmaster capability with the Armorsmith, you don't want to lose that Undertaker for free. So as much as you want to unleash the terror of the Undertakers, you want to also kill off that Armorsmith.
Unstable Ghoul. Actually,
That's interesting.
we haven't. I don't think we've seen this from his deck yet.
So he has Unstable Ghoul and Whirlwind.
Yeah, he's got. I imagine he's got one copy of each.
So he split them across his
Yeah.
deck building. This Unstable Ghoul, when it dies, does a 1 damage Whirlwind effect. And it does end up damaging the egg a little bit too, so it makes it
does.
easier to kill.
Yeah.
He could actually get the egg to die if he wanted to.
Right. With the Abusive Sergeant.
He would
or
have
die
to
with
give up
Alpha.
the Abusive Sergeant.
Do you execute one of these Undertakers here?
I imagine you do.
Yeah.
You can't armor up and play one of your other 2 drops. You have 3 mana available, and you really want to be able to get rid of that early pressure as much as you can. Those, of course, are known to grow out of control if there are a lot of death rattles around them. Right now, Firebat only has the 1, so it's still something that you want to get rid of right away.
Well, yeah, I agree with you.
Even if this goes horribly wrong, is D2 feeling a little better? If we could see both hands, D2 feeling a little better because I feel like his curve is still really nice. He still has Death Bite to answer a creature, and he does have Sludge Belcher to put up a wall. Meanwhile, Firebat's looking at using a lot of his hero power next few turns. He's picking up situational use cards.
Yeah, double Undertaker's really scary, but he actually has a hand that can compete against it pretty well.
Really.
I think he doesn't want to give any way for the egg to be activated.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's thinking that exact same thing.
That is a tough choice, but one that I think is the correct call.
Yep.
He's giving up both of his armor smiths, unfortunately, too. Very easy for it to get picked off here.
Creeper. Are you seeing an abusive sergeant this turn then?
I imagine we will see an abusive sergeant. I wonder whether he'll push a damage onto the egg or just use the Undertaker just outright. This will kill it in 1 swing. It will make it so that he only gains 1 armor.
I think that's what he's thinking about too. I think he's thinking about how to mitigate the armor. He's still got a way to give the egg an extra power with that Direwolf Alpha. You can just sneak it in right next to it and make sure that it's getting a little bit extra value.
All right, well, Deathbite is one of the better cards here because there's a lot of weak minions with 1 health.
Yeah.
And the best part is the Deathbite was played after that Haunted Creeper. So if he attacks Haunted Creeper, it goes for a sweep.
Wow.
What do you think about this Defender of Argus here?
I think it's a pretty good one.
You could Defender just the egg if you want.
I think that's what I'm looking at. Just defending just the egg. He's gonna push for damage if he does this though.
So not taunting up the egg is because you want it to be this thing that protects you against Brawl?
Well, I think it actually has more to do with he wants this abusive sergeant to become something valuable.
Right,
and
with the
at
Death
1
Bite.
health, the Death Bite Death Rattle will kill it off for free, and he wants to make sure that he forces the Death Bite to outright attack one of those 2 minions.
You know, at the same time though, it's at the same time those Haunted Creeper tokens are going to get taken out. So how much value is there, or merit rather, in protecting your abusive sergeant over protecting those 2 tokens?
Right.
I like this play a lot. This is the one that you saw straight away too. This is the one that I like.
It's the conclusion that he comes to as well, and I cannot blame him. This is going to put it on D2. Now he has that Sludge Belcher, which is pretty good.
Oh! That is a very important draw right now. It's not a huge draw by any means, but that draw is going to shut down one of these 4/4s.
That's pretty huge.
It's going to take out...
I think it's a huge draw. It's safe to
all
say.
right, fair enough. It's a huge draw then. So he's able to silence this egg now, so there's not going to get a 4/4 from Firebat. Again, like you said, the order of death rattles here really mattering. That Haunted Creeper is going to die before this Death Bite Whirlwind effect happens. It's going to deal damage to those tokens that it makes.
It will leave just a 2/2.
And he does kill off the owl.
Well, it kills off the owl as well, as planned, I think.
Right.
These players have that in mind.
Working as intended. And then after that, Unstable Ghoul is to protect your health. I mean, Shield Block is really good to complement the Shield Command if you're seeing a Doomguard or a Lotheb here that you need to take care of in the future turns.
Gosh, this is tough. I mean, all 3 of these decisions, I think, are reasonable for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, digging deeper in your deck is also not bad.
Yeah. How important though? Like, is he thinking about maybe like drawing Shield Slam and being able to save Shield Block? So
Here's the thing: if he plays Shield, if he doesn't play Shield Block now, when is he going to get an opportunity to do the next 2 turns if he's playing Lotheb? Or not, sorry, Lotheb, the Sludge Belcher.
Oh, blame him. That's the hand. Here's Lotheb, as you mentioned too. You know, it's a good question. When is he going to have another opportunity to play it? I imagine it's just going to. He's looking forward to it. He's at 27 health right now after that armor up. He's pretty comfortable in life. I feel like he thinks he's got the time to hold on to this.
Right, 27 health.
It's not imperative. It's not imperative that he does it right now. So I think holding on to it's good. It's an opportunity cost that he's having to when he chooses not to use the armor.
Well, Lotheb does build his board in a pretty meaningful way. But the response, I guess it's just Sludge Belcher go?
Alex draws this, feels a little bit of a dead card. But at the same time, it could be his saving grace if he equips a weapon and then it comes turn 9. He can heal himself back up to 15 if it gets too much pressure.
That's true. It is not a dead card. It is very useful even in this matchup.
Right. Feels like dead for the next few turns, though. I mean, you'd rather have ways to stave off the aggression.
You take a look at how much pressure that Firebat's actually been able to keep up this game. He has not life tapped once yet. This turn is I don't even think
Still
this turn's going to be
have
a first life tap.
Yeah, there's no way to save that egg. It's gonna die here.
I don't think you use a Direwolf Alpha first, do you?
Well, if you use a Direwolf Alpha, you end up killing off your Defender of Argus because of the whirlwind effect.
Oh, this is he decides to tap instead.
Oh, there is a way to save that egg.
Okay, well,
Rodan lied.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Can't trust me.
And this is actually that was a really good draw.
Yeah, very important one.
This builds resources or maintains resources on his board. And that's really important. At a certain point, it's going to be brawl or bust for D2.
Yeah, D2, it's looking like he's in really bad shape right now. He's got his own low theft, but that's going to get threatened straight away just by what's on the board. And as you were saying, the shield block, when's he going to have time to play this now?
I don't know. I don't know, because if he's using shield block, he can't play other minions. And even if he draws into a brawl, he can't play that either. Like, you need to play as defensive as possible, because that's 11 damage on board staring at you right now with the opportunity for your opponent to perhaps kill you.
Oh my goodness.
Not only that, but this is when Zoo really starts turning down the heat. You thought they came out early game. If you traded 1-for-1 with them the whole way down, when it gets to turn 6 and 7, they start drawing 2 cards a turn to continue that
and
pressure.
you're drawing 1.
Yeah, you've got to start getting more value out of your cards at that point. You got to be more efficient. You have to have a way to actually finish the game. The fact that Firebat's come out of this 1-for-1 with a very big board presence. This is going to be really tough for D2 to climb out of.
He needs Lotheb to challenge the board and absorb as much as possible to act as a taunt before Sludge Belcher is the taunt.
Look at how many, he's got such a variety of ways to deal with it. He's got the Soul Fire in his hand. He could use a Lotheb straight away. He could use these 1-health minions he's got on the board. It's not even a matter of how he if he could deal with it. It's just a matter of how. He's got all the options in the world.
Yeah, I like placing the Harvest Golem, so that way it gives you another minion against the Brawl to potentially give you a spawn, and then Direwolf Alpha gives really clean trades. Oh, even Innkeeper, all right. So he wants to just go as anti-Brawl as possible.
He's going straight for phase 2, and I like it. A lot of pressure. Wow, I don't know what D2 can draw reels, but he's got to have it now.
Brawl,
It's gotta be Brawl.
It's got to be some kind of AoE to clean out as much of his opponent's board as he can.
It's got to be Brawl, but if Brawl,
the tough
happens,
decision. Firebat, is it face? Is it Lotheb on
Just let it go. Just let it go. 5 damage. It's free right now.
putting him at 12 is pretty important because you still have Soulfire and the Doom Guard.
He goes for it. All right, so even a brawl now would leave him so low. All right, well, the shield block gets to do something.
But he can't use the Sludge Belcher if he uses shield block, shield slam.
He needs Whirlwind. It has to be Whirlwind.
All right, he can armor up shield. He can just use armor up shield slam and play the Sludge Belcher. So you can take up the 3-1 taunt. You put Lotheb into the 1-1 taunt, and then your opponent's got 3 points of damage left over to punch through to you after he's cleared your Sludge Belcher out.
You have 3 cards in hand. You know there's something coming out of that 3 cards in hand.
I mean, Doomguard's got to be in the back of your mind right now.
You also have Alex Strauss on the next turn, so if life gets really low, you can bounce you back up to save. I mean, Fire Oris is another form of removal.
It is removal, but it's going to come at the cost of life every time you swing it in.
I think it's okay, though, because when you have weapon and you have Alex Strauss, all you have to do is not die, and you can use the weapon to gain more life. It's effectively removal while being able to bounce back up to 15. This might be a way for D2 to climb back into the game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it is.
It does leave the game open.
Yep.
It does leave the game open. He's not dead to the board, certainly yet.
And then, how does Zoo deal with an 8-8? Like, without if it's using all of its resources? Like, say if Firebat goes all in, uses the Soulfire, and puts everything on the board. I mean, there is a possibility that Firebat overextends here, and then he can't deal with a big creature.
It is. If he decides that he's not going to play around Alex Plaza and it comes out, and he makes the choice to, I like that play as well.
Mode. 16 health remains for D2 with 5 on the board. How much damage does Firebat have?
He's got 11 right now.
So does Doomguard end it?
Knife Juggler.
Well, he can play out his entire hand and use the Soulfire without having to discard.
That's pretty crazy. He played out his entire hand.
And he can still life tap after that and have a mana left.
That's pretty bananas.
Would that put it on just Brawl? I don't know if Alex Strauss is good enough after that.
Yeah, you could be right. These juggles could be super important. He lands on the low
He
theft.
wants to go to the face.
Are you going to slide his Flame Imp in between?
Well, I think Flame Imp's a little bit more likely to get attacked than the Harvest Golem is right now.
Right.
So I think it's good that he's making sure that he maximizes his damage.
Well, two wasted juggles there.
Yeah.
Is he gonna throw that? Is he gonna throw that Haunted Creeper in there? Try to get that point in as well.
You could think about it.
I mean, every single point damage really does matter here.
Okay,
Oh
well,
my gosh!
This is a tough choice.
He's gonna Soulfire the Lothab.
Lotheb served a pretty big purpose. He's already gained a lot of health effectively for D2.
What's it gonna be?
Oh, let's give it up for Lothab. He's done a lot of work this game. This is
another
a
Flame
Flame
Imp.
Imp too.
But he's saving it just on the chance the opponent has the Brawl. Oh,
No Brawl.
double taunts.
Double taunt or Alex Straza. Axe is almost certain to go into that Direwolf Alpha. I can't
Maybe the
think of
Knife
anything
Juggler?
else. Well, Knife Juggler is a choice.
I think,
Direwolf Alpha is guaranteed 4.
let's see. But then if he does that, there's still 4, 6, 7, 9 damage right there. There's a lot of ways for your opponent to just kill you there, from just tapping and
It would
getting
be
a Doom
so
Guard.
scary.
Yeah, just a Doom Guard with a juggle to the face could end the game.
Well, in this very World Championships, we saw Firebat lose a series, the only series he lost so far, when he was playing Zoo, and all he needed was a Doom Guard for so many turns, and he life tapped for 4 turns in a row and couldn't find it. So D2, if all he has to do is dodge a Doom Guard, it could happen.
Also, when a juggle to the face also won that game for Firebat too.
That's true.
I remember at the
That
very
is
end,
true.
Oh,
he
that-
needed the 1 point
So
damage to the
if he
face of the Knife
plays
Juggler.
if he plays 2 taunts, he's gonna go down 7 health. There's a lot of ways for his opponent to trade down with all these juggles and stuff. I think Alex Strauss has his best chance to survive here.
If he plays Alex Straza 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, he's got 15 on the board straight away, doesn't he?
I mean, you attack with the
Yeah,
weapon
so he-
first, and then you Alex
Yeah,
Strauss.
so then your opponent's got whatever the 3 cards they are in their hand, potentially threatening that. So a Doom Guard's going to be lethal. Soulfire's
Yeah,
gonna be
11
lethal.
showing.
If you play 2
Yeah.
taunts, it's really easy for him to activate these
Yeah.
trades.
Yeah,
though.
no, I agree.
And
This is-
that-
this
and
is a
you're
tough
at
spot.
7 health, because you're effectively using your
I
weapon.
don't know what's better. It's tough to say what's better. Honestly, he's going to go with 2 taunts.
All right, so we're going to come down to a Knife Juggler finish of some capacity
I
here.
think so. Unless he chooses to attack the knife. I think you attack the Knife Juggler. That's just me. I think
That is a hard call to
I think
make.
he's getting more mileage out of
Okay,
it.
so
I
it's going to
agree
come down
with
to
you,
honest
too.
race.
There it is.
So many cards are troublesome. Voidwalker's
well.
not one of them.
Team Demons.
Well, you know,
Not what he's looking for.
what if Firebat can't kill it? Alex Strauss puts it back up to 15.
It's definitely a possibility. All 3 of these cards not going to be able to use his mana too efficiently. Time to start choosing these taunts.
Well, you got a board clear here. And you know your opponent's holding 1 card. And I don't know if, I mean, at this point, he wouldn't even played Brawl already. Do you feel like that's the case? Can you put him on Brawl anymore?
I think you can't play around Brawl anymore.
Okay.
If they have it, they have it. For Firebat, you are all in at this point. You need to finish off your opponent any way you can. 1 card left in D2's hand.
Yeah, you know, I absolutely think in hindsight, taking out this Knife Juggler was correct. Because look at how much. This is 3
Yeah,
extra
big
damage just
juggles.
getting out of this.
It would have been so many juggles.
Yeah, I think it's a really important way he took this out. His board's going to get filled again, though, too. Because the other thing, too, is the Juggler was accounting for the minions that he was going to play from his hand. So this turn alone, it would have been at least 3 extra damage that we've seen. Right now, the Direwolf is pulling a couple extra points in the
Well,
hand.
he has to give up his death rattles, and he knows it.
Yep.
Well, he doesn't have to. He can trade his Wolf in and then keep his Harvest Golem.
That's true. He loses the wolf, and I expect all of these minions to get played in a hurry.
All right, maximum pressure.
Down to 16.
That's how much damage is on board. We have, I think, 9 damage, 10 damage.
Damage.
Black Knight, you can't play that right
It's
now.
Alex Straza
So-
only.
This is Alex Straza, and
Versus
then
the
is Firebat
world.
gonna draw it? Oh my gosh! This game could not have ended crazier so far. What's it gonna be? Nerubian Egg's not enough.
He's got a tap, right?
Oh, I'm
Gotta
definitely
tap.
life tapping
Got a
here.
tap for the Doom Guard.
Leopard Gnome number
Leopard Gnome
two.
number 2. I think it's all face.
You think so? Does he feel comfortable just trading down right now? Because he's still drawing 2 cards to his opponent's 1 card.
As you command.
Oh, he's going straight.
He's going for it. Because now, even with Brawl, they're taking the Leper Gnome damage as well. Oh, he wants to get the Nerubian Egg, so now he's playing around Brawl. Very interesting play.
Great hesitation there.
So much damage
Is there a draw
available.
to win the game here for D2?
Acolyte of Pain, certainly
I
not
don't
it.
think so. And with that Acolyte of Pain, it looks like he's running out of options,
Wait a
right?
minute. Okay, so he can Black Knight the 1/3.
Kill off
Alex
the
Straza
3-2.
goes into the 3-2, and it's 7 points of damage on the board, plus the armor up. So,
Right,
he's
he's
gonna
got
be
one
one off lethal. But Firebat's got 2 draws to pick up 1 point of damage to end this game.
There's such a high percentage chance at this point.
Damage.
There's the damage! Firebat takes the series 3-2 with Zoo and advances to the grand finals of the Hearthstone World Championship. GG!
GG indeed. Firebat. Firebat.
What an insane series. Oh my gosh, I have nerd chills right now from this Hearthstone Championship. Real throwdown. I can't believe it.
Down to the wire the whole way. Such a back and forth series. Firebat just barely coming out on top. D2 was fighting with everything he had the whole game. Oh man.
Yeah, well played by Firebat. I think he kept his cool where it mattered the most, and he has won himself at least $50,000 US. What a story from this kid from Detroit. Firebat's really young, even though he has a full-time job and he's got his own life back in Michigan. He's also just 18, 19 years old. The kid's really young, and he's extremely talented. And you know what? I'm really happy to on a personal level because Firebat goes above and beyond most players to prepare for his series. He lays out spreadsheets, statistics. It's trial and error. He burns the clock. He is the scientist of Hearthstone.
He's the mad scientist.
He's the great scientist as far as I'm concerned. Isaac Newton, move aside. Firebat is here.
He is here.
That's right.
And I do want to point out now, Firebat is moving into the finals. He has played nothing quite like this. Nothing like this World Championships. But he's played on a few big stages before, and he's often lamented the fact that he feels like he's been often the bridesmaid, but never the bride. He gets so close, gets
That's
first,
right.
or not gets second, gets third, gets fourth, but not first. He's made it into the final. If there's one to break through and win all the way, it would be this one.
That's right. The man of the moment is Firebat. Take a look at the brackets to see where we sit for the grand finals, to see who is going to take home the championship and the right to call themselves best in the world. Taylor Celestial versus Firebat after defeating Kranich and D2. What a run by D2 as well. One more time, let's give it up for D2. What a run.
Definitely.
A guy who's living in Japan but hailing from America. He gave his best, and in the end, he still takes home $15,000 US.
Absolutely fantastic play from D2 this week, and at the end coming up just a little bit short. I think it's more the nature of the matchup than anything else that's coming into play, because I don't think he made a single mistake in that last game. He's played phenomenally all weekend. Glad to see that he had great concentration the entire time.
You know what? There's a lot of doubters on D2 before he started here at this BlizzCon. His performance in Hammerstein was shaky, to say the least. We can admit that. He was willing to admit that, too. But he's really turned the corner. He's buckled down, and I expect to see great things out of him, as well as the rest of the American scene. And Firebat, though, the moment's about him. He is the guy who's the winner. He's winning with Rachel and Rachel and Weed, excuse me. How you doing, Firebat? How you doing, Rachel? What's going on, Weed?
We're about to find out. I have a question right off the bat. Like, Frodan just gave you the nickname, the scientist of Hearthstone. What do you think about that? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet.
I like it. I'm going to use it for sure. Yeah.
Sweet.
Congratulations. You now know you're facing off versus Tiddler in the finals. We'll be asking you about that in just a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the style that you showed off in this game. And obviously, I don't necessarily mean your Hearthstone style, but your finishing style, specifically game one. You came at us with another entertaining way to end the game. Is that helping you just move on in the game and feeling comfortable with it, or what?
Oh yeah, it's just all about having fun and finishing and setting them to one and stuff, and little BM, the emotes and stuff. It's all fun.
Well, we saw a little BM, we saw a little stylish finish, but when the match was over, this is something that I just love about the Hearthstone community, and I love about all you wonderful players, is that you shook hands, and then you even brought it, I mean, there was a hug. Did you guys exchange any words there that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I was just talked to him about like DKMR, our old team, because like it's now IRTU, but I was on that with him, and we like practiced together like way long ago. So like is like reminiscing, like wow, look how far we came.
That's incredible.
That
the two
is
of you.
awesome. Also, we got some noise complaints from next door. This is the loudest that this place has been during your match.
Thank you guys out there.
There's a lot of energy here at BlizzCon for the second day. Is that pumping you up for the finals?
Definitely, this is awesome. It's a dream come true.
Fantastic.
Wonderful,
Rachel?
a dream come true. You know what? Let's leave it at that.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. We're hop right back in that booth. We're starting up the final. No, I'm just kidding,
Go,
guys.
run.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick 15-minute break. The tavern is going to prep up and get ready for the grand finals. So keep connected with us through social media at Play Hearthstone. Use the hashtag BlizzCon. Who is going to be our champion here in the Tavern of Champions? Rachel, I don't know. We won't give our predictions yet. But let us know. Use the hashtags. And those on the virtual ticket also reach out to us. We want to hear who you think the winner's going to be. We'll be back for more Hearthstone World Championship after this 15-minute break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away.